Watch monthly community meeting. We're all talking obviously about post-election hangover that we're all suffering from, either for good or for bad. And I want to congratulate Sandy Golding for winning her seat, the Jack's seat. As in most races, you know, it's always a challenge, and you get those last-minute flings at you, but Sandy persevered, and we're extremely happy that you were the victor. And as well as Georgette, she's not here tonight, but you know, I think that these two ladies are going to really add a lot to the city, Jacksonville Beach City Council. And of course, we have Chris Hoffman, who is on the City Council as well as our guest speaker tonight. So we're very excited to have her here. And thank you for hosting us here at Beaches Chapel. It's always wonderful to be in this building, you know, the history and the reverence that it brings. So I guess this is going to be kind of short and sweet, but we're so glad you're here. And couple of announcements, I think. Hold on.
Do you have the agenda? It's at the table.
Okay.
Somebody.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I didn't grab one. Usually I grab one as my talking points here to remind me of things I need to say. There aren't any other elected officials here, right? Okay. Usually Sandy elect.
Sandy elect.
Sandy elect. Okay, so, of course we have our membership renewals going on, our drive now. Early bird renewal is December 31. So it's $15 for individuals, $20 for a family, $5 for students. We have the Neptune Beach election results, which of course Josh Messenger won, so we want to congratulate him. We are videotaping this, so that's one of the reasons why we're kind of reading through all this for our viewers at home. Our Jack's Beach election results, Corey Nichols won District 1, Seat 4, Georgette Dumont won District 2, Seat 5, and of course Sandy Golden won District 3, Seat 6. Important deadline coming up, Friday, November 9th. We are still seeking nominations for our 2018 Give Back donation. So we want to recognize a nonprofit here at the beaches that has gone over and above, adding to the quality of life for our beaches residents. They received a $1,000 donation, and so this is something we are very proud to give back to the community to recognize these organizations. Jack's Beach Golf Club is having their grand reopening. Yay.
Finally.
Finally. Thank you to the City Council for approving the money for those renovations. They're very excited about it. And they're sold out there this weekend. They open November 10th and 11th. So they're sold out with shotgun starts, and then they're having a ribbon cutting on Friday, November the 9th, so at 4:30 p.m. We have some workshops coming up in Atlantic Beach on Monday, November 19th at 6 p.m. We're going to be talking about the Stormwater Master Plan update and branding. And Tuesday, November 13th at 5 p.m., they'll have their workshop on the land development regulations. They're looking at rewriting some of their comprehensive plan. Reminder that there's the watering restrictions now effective November 5th, since we've fallen back. Watering only before 10 a.m. and after 4 p.m. Odd number addresses can water Saturday only. Even numbers can water Sundays only. If you have a commercial business, commercial sites can water Tuesdays only. And a reminder, we have our December Beaches Watch meeting coming up on December 5th. And this is where we give our give back donation presentation, and we elect officers, right? Yes, okay, we elect officers, so we put that out to the membership. On the back of the agenda, we have, as always, the contact information for the elected officials for all the beaches communities. So always feel free to reach out. And as well as our Jacksonville City Council representative right now, Bill Gulliford, and our school board. Oh, so yeah, congratulations to Elizabeth Anderson, who will be our new Duval County School Board representative. And let's see, Cord Bird, who won his seat, so he will come back as our representative. Aaron Bean won his seat, so he will be again as our representative. And John Rutherford, who won his re-election. So congratulations to all of our candidates. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Chris Hoffman, who is the CEO, Executive Director of the Beaches Museum and Historic Park, as well as the overseer of our Beaches Chapel. So she's going to talk about upcoming events, happenings around here. So, thank you.
I probably don't need this.
Do I need it? You guys hear me in the back?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Good. Okay, so this is my dog and pony slideshow. I get asked to go speak at Rotary clubs and exchange clubs and what have you quite often. So I put this together probably about 4 years ago, and it hasn't changed much since. And you'll see a little bit of that, but I've actually never done this presentation within the Beaches Museum property, so this is a first for me. So is this anybody's first time in the chapel? Okay, welcome. Has anybody never been to the Beaches Museum? Okay, great. Well, we invite you to come back. Hopefully you will want to after this presentation, but our mission is to preserve and share the distinct history and culture of the Beaches area. As you guys know, we're on a barrier island here, and we consider our beaches area Mayport, Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, Jacksonville Beach, Ponte Vedra Beach, and Palm Valley. Vilano Beach, St. Augustine, they know what they're doing as far as history goes, so we're going to let them take care of themselves down there. But we cover, again, Palm Valley on up in our beaches area. The big yellow building down there, that the most common thing I hear about it is I've driven by it a million times and I've never been in. So I promptly invite them to come in. It's a little intimidating from the outside, I guess, and I don't know why people don't just kind of venture in there typically. We do see a lot of people come over the holidays when they have family in town. So it's a great activity when you're trying to figure out what to do with Aunt Sally Sue and Uncle Bob. Bring them on over to the Beaches Museum. Admission is free. So you literally have nothing to lose. And then people always identify us with the train. This is our 40th year. We were founded in 1978 as the Beaches Area Historical Society. And the goal was to preserve the historic heritage of Florida's First Coast beach communities. Gene McCormick, with the great hair there in the middle, is credited as being our founder, and this was the founding board. Jean got stuff done. So she was, it's really amazing to go back and look at the minutes of the founding of this organization. Really quickly, I'm going to veer off a little bit since you guys are more involved in civic and city issues. The house on the right, which is the one right out here, the section foreman's house, it was originally located right over here about where Pet Supermarket is. Beach Boulevard used to be the train track. So if you look at it from above, it's straight as an arrow and it went straight into town. The section foreman's house would have been located about every 17 miles, and the section foreman was responsible for care and upkeep and making sure that the tracks were safe, free from debris, all that sort of thing. So it got moved to about 12th Avenue South in Jacksonville Beach in the 30s. Someone bought it for $60. When this organization formed in 1978, they actually offered to give it to the Beaches Area Historical Society. So when you read the minutes, in 1979 they talked about accepting this house, but where could they put it? They didn't have any land. They were just an organization at this point. And I'm telling you, in the next month's minutes, Gene had already gone to the city of Jacksonville Beach and gotten approval to use this land. So I don't know if anybody's tried to get anything done in the city of Jacksonville Beach recently. You're not going to get it done by your next month's minutes. So I was pretty astounded to read that, but knowing Jean, she could probably get it done still today. But this spit of land where the History Park is, none of these buildings were here. This was Florida East Coast Railway land. When they stood down the train, the train track, they actually gave the land to the city of Jacksonville Beach with the caveat that they had to keep it as a park. If at any time they didn't keep it as a park, it would go to the state. So Jacksonville Beach got with the Beaches Area Historical Society and said, we'll let you operate this land as a history park, $1 a year, ceremonial lease, and we've operated it ever since. So we actually pay for all the maintenance, the irrigation, tree trimming, yard mowing, pesticides. So we're actually saving the city money because they couldn't do anything else with this other than operate it as a park. So the depot was the first building to move here. Then we also have the section foreman's house. We also have the Mayport Depot, the building on the left, which was up about where the ferry is now. So that was the train depot in Mayport. At the far end, we have the oldest post office that was in Pablo Beach. And then the train obviously moved here in the early 80s. You guys might remember when it was uncovered before it had the glass structure around it. That's how I remember it as a kid. And in 2006, the museum, the two-story museum building was built. But each of these buildings was used at one point or another as the museum or archives. But they really needed the space of that museum. Anybody remember this puppy moving down 3rd Street? That was a nice slow parade of building going down the street. This is its 4th location. So I get a lot of criticism. You guys all know Rory Diamond. He critiques that we steal buildings from Neptune Beach, but it actually started in Pablo Beach. It was built in 1887, and it was up here by, it was on 2nd Avenue, but close to where the lifeguard station was. It was built by the patrons of the Murray Hall Hotel. They would come down here for an entire winter, so they wanted a place to go and worship. And if you look in the aisle, you can see where it was expanded in the 50s. So it moved over to St. Paul's by the Sea Episcopal, where it was turned and expanded, and then in the 70s, it moved over to Jarbo Park. It moved over here in 2012, and it is not going anywhere. So this is its last home, and we are so glad to have it. The most recent building that we got was the Oestreicher McCormick cabin. This is the Oestreicher family. You can kind of see up in the corner, in the shadows up here, is B.B. McCormick. And this is his first wife, and this is his second wife. I'm going to let you take that wherever you want to. But they had 9 children. Thomas and Ella Oestreicher had 9 children in that cabin. We were able to get that also donated to us. The buildings are always free, by the way. People are always trying to give us buildings. It's not the building that costs money. It's putting it on a flatbed, moving it here, and restoring it, just for the record. But it was great for us because, as you can see, this chapel does not have bathrooms, so it doesn't have facilities. There's not even a water fountain here. So that gave us an opportunity to bring a historic building here, but also to lend some functionality to this end of the park. And it's been a fabulous addition. By the way, if you need to use the restroom at any point, it is open. The bathrooms are ready for you. Inside the actual 2-story building, we have our permanent exhibit that is a walk down the boardwalk of our 6 beaches communities. Our temporary exhibit, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then upstairs we have our archives and collections. Has anyone been in the archives and collections? Awesome. So we've got thousands of physical items, from train memorabilia to Fletcher Letterman jackets to old bathing suits. And then we have tens of thousands of photos. We have the Beaches Leader historical bound editions. What's that? Yearbook. We have all the Fletcher yearbooks, except the war years, World War II time frame. They did not do yearbooks. But our most noticeable thing that we have are photos. And you mentioned the golf course opening. They've actually gotten a few of our historic photos to put up in the new restaurant in the golf club. So City Hall, you see them, Casa Marina, you'll see these historic photos all over the place. They most likely come from us, and most likely the photos were taken by Virgil Dean. He was a very prolific photographer and one of the founders of the organization. Some other things that we do, Pablo Beach Train Day with all of these train assets that I mentioned. We really celebrate that in September with the little mini trackless train to ride around the neighborhood. We've got train displays, some train safety. I don't know where these kids are crossing train tracks, especially the beach kids, but they'll know what to do when they get to one. We also have about once a month boardwalk talks. They're normally in here, and it's something that'll be either history, archaeology, poetry. We've had a chef do a talk. So we try to make them relevant to what's maybe going on. A new book, we have a author who just published a book about Bill Morgan, the architect, so he's going to be coming in December, which I think is going to be very interesting. Pop-up exhibits are when we just want to feature one thing that maybe we only have a few items for, and we'll do a case in the lobby of the museum. I'm sorry, those are spotlight exhibits. Pop-up exhibits are when we go off-site, and we've had two now at the Beaches Library, Beaches Branch Library. It started off with exhibits at Avante, and we're working with Ponte Vedra Beach Library. Our Mayport Naval Station exhibit has been on display at Mayport Naval Station. So whenever we take an exhibit down, we'd love to give it a second life in other areas so that more people can see it. And social media, obviously, we take real advantage of Throwback Thursday and try to post an interesting photo at least once a week. Our main fundraising, our Fletcher All Class Block Party, wow, that's a tongue twister. You can ask Coach Brown about that one, he's on that committee, and Beach Legends. And that's where we honor those who are making tomorrow's history today. And this year we honored Sam Beal, Jimmy Stockton, and the Honorable Elaine, and the Honorable Dick Brown. And we had to write it that way on everything. It's really fun to put honorable twice. But it was worth it. It was a wonderful event. This was our 5th year holding that event, and we've honored people like Sterling Joyce and Father Kelly and Nancy Bronner, and actually Dr. and Mrs. Bronner both. So people you would know that may not otherwise get the spotlight shown on them for what they're doing here in our community. And then we have our annual Art Fest. We just had this a few weeks ago, and it's a juried art festival out here. We close the streets down along the park and in front of the museum. We get about 80 artists out there, and it's really truly fine art. It's a really good event. And then here in the chapel we do concerts, and the chapel concert series are anything from blues, a lot of blues, jazz. This year so far we've had E.G. Kite, who she's kind of a bluesy country singer, a little bit of a storyteller. They call her the Georgia Songbird. That's Selwyn Birchwood. We tie in with Springing the Blues, and we always do an artist the Thursday night before Springing the Blues starts. Of course, Sam Beal is on this committee. Anybody know this guy? Noel Friedline, very well-known pianist who went to graduate from UNF. He is awesome. In the museum, I mentioned temporary exhibits. This is Lana Shuttleworth. Her art is made out of traffic cones. And when somebody told me, you've got to see this artist, she does art with traffic cones, I just imagined like a tower, like a castle made out of traffic cones, or like a chicken with a traffic cone nose. But these are all little pieces of traffic cone. This particular piece is probably about 8 feet high and probably about 15 feet wide. So it's huge, and it's really heavy. And it left a lot of holes in the wall, but it was worth it. It was a really great exhibit. And then right now we have Vibrancy and Illumination by Jeffrey Lukey. He's a self-taught artist and went to Fletcher High School. So he's now works down at Cork Studios downtown, and we were already going to have him exhibit, but I was even more excited to hear that he went to Fletcher. He only graduated a year before me, so I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you. But he actually became an artist even after high school, so he was in his 20s before he discovered his talent. And then we alternate between art and history. So just wanted to touch on this one, Mineral City, we had a while back, and a lot of people, when I do these presentations, you guys probably already know that when I say Mineral City, I'm talking about Ponte Vedra Beach. Ponte Vedra Beach was a mining town, and this is Buckman and Pritchard, George Buckman and Henry Pritchard, who actually discovered that there were really valuable minerals in the sands in Ponte Vedra Beach, and they learned how to extract them. So they set up a mining operation. You can see train trestle there, random pig or boar or something. Here's some of the train. There was this train track spur that ran down there. Some of the housing for the workers. And if they wanted to drive up to the big city of Pablo Beach, they rode on the beach. So they didn't actually have A1A yet at this point. This is my favorite picture, the bottom right. It's not like you just pulled out your cell phone and snapped a picture, so do whatever you want. Like there was a camera set up, tripod, everything, and this was the pose that they made. And I'm glad they did because it really makes me smile. And then top right is Bonnie Doon, which would have been the house of whoever the top executive in residence at the time would have been. And then this is where you start to see the transition to being more of a golf community. The top right is the Jacksonville Beach Links. So this was the area's really first golf club. And then a lot of the lagoons and everything that you see now at Ponte Vedra Inn and Club are a result of the mining operation. So they really worked that in. And then this was our most recent history exhibit, Jacksonville Beach or Bust, where we talked about the Jacksonville Beach Boardwalk. Cars on the beach. I don't know how you go into the water and come back and find your car in this scenario. They all look the same. This was a photo from 1923. And then the top left is Coaster Bathhouse. And people give me a quizzical look when I talk about the bathhouses at the beach. But literally you would come in from town and you would rent a bathing suit and use it all day and turn it back in. And a lot of times they were wool bathing suits. So they would, when you were done, they would throw it in like a vat of Lysol. I mean, this sounds terrible to me. But especially the sailors at this time, you know, in the 40s when we started seeing the Navy base explode, they had to leave base in their Cracker Jack uniform. So they would come, and if you know Maxwell Dickinson, he'll tell you all about it. They would come and lock up their uniforms and take that bathing suit for the day and go on their merry way. And then the bottom right is the prior lifeguard station to the one we have now, and what we now know as the PEG at that time was a utility pole. So that was an electrical pole that they had to climb up. And I've been up the PEG a few times. I would no thank you on this one. So those were some brave young men and women. And this was not this pier, not the pier before that, but the pier before that. And they had a great big pavilion out on the pier and did all sorts of dances and had bands and everything out there. And then this is an aerial view of just some of the area where you had Ferris wheel and tilt-a-whirl and that sort of thing. And this is an aerial view of that old pier, so you can see the dance hall. And then this would be, I think if I'm not mistaken, this is Beach and 3rd. And there are no gas stations at that intersection. I mean, it's amazing. And it's so sparsely populated. It's just so cool to see. Roller coaster, and Guffords is there at the bottom, and apparently every time the roller coaster went down, you had to grab onto your coffee cup so it didn't bounce off the counter. And then now I've got a bunch of extra pictures in here just for time fillers, but the Continental Hotel, we just did a historic marker for this. This was up in Atlantic Beach where the cloisters are now. So a lot of people don't realize that we had a Henry Flagler hotel here. So Henry Flagler kind of worked his way down Florida, building hotels, golf courses, and railroads as he went. And this one was built in 1901. It became the Atlantic Beach, he sold it, it became the Atlantic Beach Hotel shortly after that burned down. So unfortunately, the only thing really that's remaining that you can see is the pier. So that's what that pier is out into the ocean in Atlantic Beach. Wasn't quite as opulent as some of his later hotels, but it was, for our area and considering the population of Atlantic Beach at the time, it was very nice. And these are some guests, and you can see the top left. You know, if you're Henry Flagler and you own the hotel and you own the railroad, you're darn sure there's going to be a railroad station right in front of your hotel so that your guests can get there easily. And if you're in Atlantic Beach and you're driving down East Coast Drive, you're driving down the old railroad, the Florida East Coast Railroad, so that's why it's called that. And again, the bathing suits just kill me on the right. The girl in this dress-looking bathing suit, I'm like basically wearing that right now. So I don't know if I would go into the water in this, but day at the beach. And then this was the one I mentioned, the Murray Hall Hotel, who the patrons built the chapel. Does this remind anybody of anything? Another hotel, famous hotel? Del Coronado, exactly. So, which is in San Diego, still survives. I wish we still had this. It burned down. It was only in existence for 3 years. Unfortunately, a lot of these hotels burned down. They didn't have fire suppression systems. They had a lot of fireplaces. They were made of wood, that sort of thing. We probably would have torn it down in the 60s because we were tearing down beautiful old buildings in the 60s and 70s. That's just what we did. Unfortunately, unless you have a really active group of people to preserve that. This is the Casa Marina, which, as you know, still exists. It was opened in 1925 on June 6th, the same day that Pablo Beach became Jacksonville Beach. So it was a big celebration. Big differences with the Casa Marina and why we still have it. It had a fire suppression system. So if you ever look at an actual picture or photo of Casa Marina, you'll see a system on top of it that pressurized their fire sprinklers. Also, it's made of stucco. And I don't know why this picture fascinates me because it's all women. I mean, you look through this picture, it's all women, except right here. There's like that one guy. Like, it's not a photo, it's a drawing. Like, why did you draw that one creepy guy up there? I may never know. It's the wrong direction. Okay, so what I want to say about the museum is come often. Every quarter we change our temporary exhibit, so things are always changing around the museum. And as you heard, we do a ton of different programming. Use the museum. This is a great example. We love when people use the chapel. We have people that rent out the museum. You guys have been there probably for the social, whatever it's called.
Member guest social.
And join as a member. That's another thing I wanted to point out. A lot of people assume we're city funded. And we're not. We are not an entity of any government. We are a separate nonprofit. Our budget's about $400,000, which is very small when you think about all that we do. We have 3 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees. So most of what gets done here is done by volunteers. So we have a docent program where docents do the guided tours of the history park 6 days a week. We're open and we have docent guided tours. We have volunteers at our front desk. Every one of our committees is volunteer-led, and a lot of archives and collections work upstairs happens through our docents and our intern program. And we have all sorts of various different special projects going on throughout the year. And then that's my contact information. Oh, so you guys are going to be among the first to see this. This is our new logo. And I don't know if you remember the old logo. I don't know how to get back to that beginning. Okay, I probably shouldn't have tried to do that. So here's our old logo. See it? Can you see it? It's really thin. And this is our new logo. So 2 years ago, we started a strategic planning process. And we really wanted to just tear open everything that we were doing, why were we doing it, and we hired a consultant and we went through about a 9-month strategic planning process. Jana Urtrachter, a lot of you probably know her. And one of the things that came out of it was identity. And when you try to identify what this is, we're the Beaches Area Historical Society or the Beaches Museum and History Park operated by the Beaches Area Historical Society. So that's 8 words. None of them make a good acronym. So we knew, I'd be introduced to things and it's like, oh, she's from the Jacksonville Historical Museum Park. And it's like, it doesn't really work to create a consistent identity when nobody, even our board members, were calling us the wrong thing. So we're gonna go by just Beaches Museum from now on. We've got a new logo, and you'll start to see us rolling that out probably in the next 2 months. And I think it's going to be a really great addition for us and something that we can really get behind because the other logo just really, it wasn't as functional as I think this one's going to be. And the A is kind of a shell, it's kind of a wave, it's kind of an @ symbol, so it's whatever you want it to be. So I'm really excited about this. It's all coming at a really good time for us. We are trying to be a real hub for the community, not only with art and culture, preserving history, but also community events like this. So it's really fun. It's fun to be able to do that. So that's all the slides I have. So I think I've boogied through that pretty quick so that we can all go home and rest off our election hangovers. Anybody get questions?
Any questions?
Did I just do that good of a job? Did anybody learn anything new?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's all I asked. Okay, thanks you guys.
Is the road cones art there now?
No, it's not. It was February through I think June. So
It's coming?
no, it's come and gone.
It's coming on.
Yeah, but if you ever see Lana Shuttleworth, if you ever have an opportunity to go see her artwork.
No, I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
I had company coming tomorrow.
Oh, Jeffrey Lukey is there now, and I've got a little basket up here with some of our upcoming. So this is, if you want to grab the card, that's Jeffrey Lukey Chapel Concert, and then we've got, follow us on social media. If you give me a card or email, I'll add you to our email list. And the Beaches Leader is wonderful. They print everything that we're doing, so they've been really great about promoting our events.
Why don't you tell us about the Visit Jacksonville
Oh,
partnership?
great. Thank you. We have really for most recent history been considered the Visit Jacksonville Visitor Center. At one point before the museum was there, they used the post office as their visitor center offices. Then after a while they stopped staffing it, budget reasons, whatever, and we were passively the visitor center. So we had a little brochure rack and our volunteers would make restaurant recommendations and things like that. But Visit Jacksonville, really with the leadership of former council president Lori Boyer, they wanted to put a big focus on their visitor centers. So they decided to staff, the other visitor centers were staffed. One of them is at their offices, one of them is at the airport, one of them was at the landing. Ours was the only one that wasn't staffed. So now we actually have a desk that is staffed 7 days a week. So if we have visitors coming into the area, the benefit is that they can come in, go to the visitor center, and then they can stay at the museum for free. So it's or they come into the museum and they get the benefit of the visitor center. So it's a really nice addition. It's been very mutually beneficial. And again, when you're out of town, guests come, you've got two for one. What's that? It's in the lobby of the museum. So when you walk into the museum, it's immediately to your right, and our front desk is right there. So you're going to be greeted by one or the other of them. Thank you, Sandy. I forgot about that. Anything else? Beaches history, quiz questions? All right, good, because I am not fit to answer them right now. Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, Chris. That was great. It really, kind of resonated with the history, and then love your new logo. I think you're right. It makes it very simple, very clean, and it gets the message across. So, well, yeah. So it's 7:33. This is probably our record meeting. But are there any other questions, comments, anything from the gallery? We'd love to hear. So don't forget about Deck the Chairs. That's kicking off when?
Right after
Day
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. So anything from Fletcher High School?
No,
Kevin?
we're in the playoffs.
Playoffs. Yeah.
Go Fletcher.
What?
I said go Fletcher.
Go. Okay, go Fletcher. Yeah, good. So we will go ahead and close the meeting then. Thank you so much for coming out. Post-election hangover. Hopefully we're on the good side of some of the elections, maybe not so much as the others, but that's okay. We'll keep persevering. So our next meeting will be December. That will be our Give Back Award meeting. We'll also have the election of officers from the members. Please get your nominations in for our Give Back Award. The deadline is Friday, November 9th. So we have a couple, we might have about half a dozen, but we'd love to have more coming in. So visit our website, and yeah, thank you for coming. So.
And if you want to pop into the